Good afternoon. We will discuss our topic on strategic cost management, which is in the board exam. This is under the subject of management advisory services. The specific topic is decentralization under lecture 6. What is the meaning of decentralization? This is the process by which the activities of an organization, particularly those regarding planning and decision making, are distributed or delegated away from a central authoritative location or group. Decentralization, the key word in this definition is delegated away. Decentralization is more on delegation. Example, the president of a certain organization cannot do it everything, especially if that president is managing a very large organization. Some of his functions will be delegated to other subordinates, to his subordinates. So instead of doing all the things, some of his authorities, especially the authority to approve, shall be delegated. We call it delegated responsibility. That is all about decentralization. Concepts of decentralization has been applied to group dynamics and management service in private businesses and organizations, political science, law and public administration, economics, money, and technology. This has been applied to group dynamics. The concept of decentralization is the most common practice today in almost all organizations, and many organizations and companies find it very effective in smoothly running the organization. All of them actually, the concept of decentralization is present not only in private companies but also in government agencies and instrumentalities. Even in our constitution, the concept of delegation is applied wherein the president or the constitution itself define the duties of other government officials other than the president. The main purpose of decentralization is people empowerment and unclog the chief executive officer of too much issues to be resolved. Those problems that can be resolved in the lower rank is not supposed to be delegated to the president. Although the president has the right to know what is happening downstairs, the issues and problems should be resolved at the proper level. In case they cannot resolve the issue, that is the time for them to delegate the matter to the president. Next, delegation of authority. Some approving authorities are delegated so that middle management can actively participate in the business process and was given the authority to decide. Approving authority. Example, in expenses. it is not ideal that all expenses shall be approved by the President. So some executives should be given an authority at their particular level. They can approve expenses within their jurisdiction. So these are the examples of delegated authority. Number one, approval of sales on account of below 100,000 pesos can be delegated to the sales manager. It is not supposed to be elevated to the president. The president has too much things to do. So, since it involves more on sales, it is only proper that the granting of accommodation to customers, particularly sales on account, should be delegated to the sales manager. Number two, sales on account of 100,000 to 500,000 can be delegated to the Vice President for Marketing, provided the corresponding credit evaluation was conducted. What do you mean by credit evaluation? Credit evaluation is simply determining the capability to pay of that particular customer wherein we are planning to grant sales on account. Another typical example of delegation, the Vice President for Marketing, since sales management is also under his wing, it is proper that this particular authority be delegated to him. Sales on account of above 500,000 pesos can be approved by the President provided credit evaluation was rigidly conducted. Of course, it is understood that everything that was delegated to the President are reviewed already by those people downstairs, just like the sales manager and the Vice President for Marketing. By these examples, we can easily understand the concept of decentralization and the meaning of delegation of authority. Another example, expenses of 10,000 and below can be approved by the chief accountant. Since this is more on control, the chief accountant should be given delegated authority to approve expenses so that the accountant can be given an opportunity to enforce internal control when it comes to expenses. Number 5, expenses of above 10,000 pesos up to 20,000 pesos can be approved by the controller or chief finance officer. It is understood that these expenses, when elevated to the chief finance officer, was already verified and reviewed by the chief accountant. Let's continue. Acquisition of machines, equipment, land, building, intangible assets, computer software with amounts of 500,000 pesos can be approved by the President, while those above 500,000 pesos shall be approved by the Board of Directors. Again, these are just examples. We are not saying that this should be followed, but these are just examples of delegated authority. In this case, we can see the greater the amount, the higher the level of authority that we are seeking for approval. Number 7, accounts written off with amounts of 10,000 and below can be approved by the controller, while those above 10,000 pesos should be approved by the President and the Board of Directors. Accounts written off is a sensitive matter because we will erase that particular accounts receivable from the books of accounts. That is why proper delegation of authority for its approval should be enforced. It is understood that before an account will be written off, proper evaluation has been done by those persons with authority. Decentralization contributes to business efficiency. What do you mean by business efficiency? We can reduce cost. We can streamline operations by means of decentralization. In business, decentralization leads to a management by results philosophy, which focuses on definite objectives to be achieved by unit results. Meaning to say, management is always looking for results, not on the activities. Management doesn't care how you do it as long as you produce results. In producing results, we have to be efficient. We have to do it with lesser cost and more faster. Business firms may prefer decentralization because it ensures efficiency by making sure that managers closest to the local information make decisions and in a more timely fashion. So that is another significance of decentralization. If those people who will approve expenses are in the lower ranks, just like the chief accountant knows more about the transaction that he or she is approving. That is what we meant. They know more the authority that was delegated, the person to who will approve knows more about the transaction. The delegated responsibility given to the middle managers frees upper management for long-term strategies rather than day-to-day decision-making. The top management will focus on strategic management rather than on the day-to-day operations, because the day-to-day operations are all delegated to the lower ranking officers and executives of the company. Managers are motivated by having the freedom to exercise their own initiative and creativity. If you are the chief accountant, if you are the sales manager, you are more motivated because you are part of decision making. You are empowered at your own right to approve certain transactions. Let's now discuss the possible CIPALE questions on management advisory services concerning its strategic cost management. Number 1, decentralization occurs when, letter A, the firm's operations are located over a large geographic area to reduce risk. Letter B, authority for important decisions is delegated to lower segments of the organization. Letter C, important decisions are made at the upper levels and the lower levels of the organization are responsible for implementing the decisions. Letter D, none of the given choices. Remember, in the board exam, the choices given are all possible answers. We will choose the best answers among the choices. In this case, the answer is letter D. Authority for important decisions is delegated to lower segments of the organization. The keyword delegated. Decentralization is more on delegation. As we have said, option B is the best answer because decentralization was put into action by means of delegation. Once the task and responsibilities are delegated, people empowerment shall take effect. As I have mentioned, people empowerment is one effective manner of motivating people by giving them authority to decide. Number 2 question, possible Sipale questions. Why would a company adopt a decentralized setup? Letter A, to train and motivate division managers. Letter B, to focus top management attention to operating decisions. Letter C, to allow division managers to concentrate on strategic planning. Letter D, all of the above given choices. The answer to this question is letter A, to train and motivate division managers. Why did we choose this particular answer? Because this is one way of training them to prepare themselves in upper decision making. Although this is the usual task given to them, we are hitting two birds in one bullet, training. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So we have again an intermittent internet connection. Let's continue our discussion. The answer to this question is letter A, to train and motivate division managers. This is in preparation for their future task because the division managers may become top executives in the future. Let's continue. Item A, as I have said, is the best answer because division managers would be trained to make their own disposition on sensitive matters even without consultation with top management. The decision-making process would become the day-to-day activities of division managers that makes them prepared to handle higher positions. The job of a division manager is to make decisions and not to do clerical functions. By means of delegation, the division managers will become familiar with that delegated authority given to them. If they become familiar, the next step is they will become ready to the next upper position. Number 3 question. In responsibility accounting, the most relevant classifications of cost is letter A, fixed and variable, letter B, incremental and non-incremental, letter C, discretionary and committed, letter D, controllable and non-controllable. So what do you mean by responsibility accounting? Each employee, each member of the organization, particularly those in the accounting department, are given responsibility. Example, Every employee is given responsibility to be sensitive on the expenses that we incur in the day-to-day operations. By controlling expenses, we can say that we are engaged in responsibility accounting. So what is the best answer among the choices? Letter D, controllable and non-controllable. If you are a control officer, usually an accountant is a control officer. If you are the accountant, you will focus on controllable expenses. You will try your best to reduce controllable expenses because it is within your control. The word itself, controllable, you can reduce it. Examples of controllable expenses are utilities expense, office supplies, advertising expense. All of them can be reduced. So while non-controllable expenses are the typical example is fixed cost, salaries expense, and rent expense. In responsibility accounting, we are responsible for the reduction of expenses to minimize or manage expenses. So let's explain further. In the concept of responsibility accounting, each department was given free hand to manage their own expenses. This can be done by identifying which among the expenses are controllable or uncontrollable. The concerned department will just focus on controllable because this can be reduced at the discretion of management. That is why we choose letter D. I think that encompasses the meaning of responsibility accounting. Number 4, controllable costs are letter A, costs that fluctuate in total in response to small changes in the rate of capacity utilization. Letter B, costs that will be unaffected by current managerial decisions. Letter C, costs that management decides to incur in the current period to enable the company to achieve objectives other than filling customers' orders. Letter D, costs that are likely to respond to the amount of attention devoted to them by a specific manager. To make it simple, an expense or a cost is controllable if we have the capability to reduce or to minimize that cost. Based on that simple definition, we will choose letter D. Costs that are likely to respond to the attention, to the amount of attention devoted to them by a specific manager. Because what that specific manager has the authority, the discretion, either to reduce or increase such costs or expenses. Item D is the best choice because management usually focus their attention on the specific expense item that they need to reduce or to control. The management, the manager, example, the head of the marketing department has that particular discretion to reduce advertising expense if he wants to do so. That is why letter D is the best answer. Number 5, the term strategic business unit is often used to describe letter A, an investment center, letter B, a revenue center, letter C, a profit center, letter D, a cost center. Strategic business unit. Strategic business unit is a department that formulates strategy. Strategy is new way of doing things. So if that is the case, what is the description of a strategic business unit? It is letter A, an investment center. An investment center usually formulates strategy on what is the best investment instrument for the company. Usually, the investment center is headed by a finance person who knows more about investment, where to earn money. That is why letter A, the investment center, is referred to as an investment center is referred to as a typical example of strategic business unit because of the strategies that they formulate to choose the best investment instrument. Let's explain further. Item A was chosen because of the fact that people behind investment center devoted their time in making strategies just to maximize companies' revenues by selecting the most profitable investment instrument. What specific asset would give returns or benefit to the company, and other business strategies separate and unique from the additional sales strategies being formulated by the marketing people. If you will become the head of an investment center, this is your main concern, to provide additional extra income to the company by way of finding new investment instruments that would maximize profit, that would maximize the use of idle funds. Number 6, consistency between goals of the firm and the goals of its employees is letter A, goal optimization. Letter B, goal congruence. Letter C, goal performance. Letter D, goal compensation. We are talking here of goals, objectives. So, consistency between goals of the firm and the goals of its employees, meaning to say, the firm, the company, and the individual employees have the same goals or objective. The answer is letter D, goal congruence. Let's understand what is the meaning of congruence. Congruence means similarity. So, we are talking here of consistency, meaning similarity between the goal of the company and the goal of the employees. So, the goal of the company should be the same with the employees, especially if we are following the principle of management by objectives. This is also the reason why each organization has its own vision, mission statements to inculcate to the minds of the members of the organization the one goal that an entity wants to achieve. That is why we choose letter B, similarity of the goals. Management and each individual employees must have the same objective. That ends our discussion for this afternoon about management advisory services, which is part of strategic cost management. Thank you and God bless everybody.